there's a famous Buddhist saying about anger, and you could apply this to hatred or any negative emotion. Anger is like a hot coal that you hold in your own hand, expecting it's going to burn somebody else. And so my experience of that, I'll just give you one example. I've had some instances where I've had some people that I didn't like very much, and I was angry at them for various reasons. And I started to realize that that anger had no effect whatsoever on them, but it had a very negative effect on me. And so, one thing the contemplative tradition will teach you is, and nowadays when I start feeling anger or hate, I'm pretty quick to say, boy, that is a toxic emotion, and it only hurts you. So let that go as quickly as you can. So speak to that a little bit, if you don't mind, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a lifetime's mission around anger myself, and personal anger, childhood anger, ancestral anger, and I in the theory of human being that I teach and have developed, which is called biotransformation theory, for want of a better term. One of the key things that I try and teach people is all emotions are information. And they are useful for us they're guidance systems. And that's actually borne out now by the evolutionary biologists. We need our emotions for guidance.
Yeah.
What's interesting about anger, for example, is it's often a guidance emotion for ourselves, that there's stuff inside us that hasn't been processed yet. Usually we could call wounding, trauma, pain, negative experience, whatever you call it. And so I would say to people, don't get rid of the anger, but there's no point spewing it out to the world. It literally does nothing useful, except in rare moments where you do need to create a boundary rapidly.
Yeah.
And that's a good protective source of reason for anger, probably why we have it. If you see a wounded dog, blah, 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 you can see that anger is very useful. But after that boundary has been set, it becomes not useful again. But then the question goes, why is the anger there? Why is it still there? What is it about my childhood, my memories, my feelings, my sense making of the world that's having that be a regular emotion for me? So that's the journey that I want to go on right now. And that's the job of the leader, is to do that work on themselves, what we call inner work, inner game, whatever you want to call it, so that your outer game, your outer work is clearer and more focused, more useful to the world. I'm a really believer in sort of value add. How can I be more valuable to my company and my team and myself? It's not by being resentful or anger or any of these other things. It's very rarely about that stuff. But neither, as you said, is it all about doing everything for everyone else, because then you get pulled out of a balance again, and you're giving so much to everyone else that you become not resilient internally. And again, it's just about being in the third way, the way between the two polarities. And something you said, you were talking about your own sense of service, and that's again been borne out by the biology as a thing called the helper's high. It feels good to help others.
Yeah, no doubt.
It feels really good. But what we don't want to do is become so much about others that we forget ourselves, our own kids. We become ill because then we're no good to anyone either.
That's a great point. So meditation, some people might say, well, that's selfish, like you're just working on yourself. But what I would say is that's where you have to start. Like your inner experience will dictate your outer experience. Your inner experience will dictate other people's experience. So oftentimes when I'm meditating or doing some other contemplative work, I think about the reason I'm doing this. I have 3 kids and I'm married, and the reason I do this is to be a better father and a better husband. And I'm also a boss, and to be a better boss. So so in a way, it seems a little selfish, Nick, but you have to start with yourself first. Like you have to train yourself first. And people that are exclusively worried about other people, some people might call it codependent or whatever term you want to use, that goes too far, because so you have to start with yourself first.
Just as toxic.
Just as toxic. That's right. That's right.
So I've worked with a lot of great people and social entrepreneurs or whatever, change makers, and there's no point solving someone else's systemic problems over there, health problems or poverty problems, if you're bringing up kids who never see you, because then they're just going to have their own trauma they're going to create in your system. So there's no point, and we have to have a balance. I've got to have time for me, I've got to have time for my kids, and I've got to have time for the world. whatever that is. And I'm constantly negotiating those boundaries. I don't think I ever get it right, because there is no right. There's just, today I need to take a little bit of daddy time to take a nap. I've learned that if weekends go better for everyone, if daddy takes himself out of it even for half an hour, run, whatever, a meditation, a little sleep. And then that makes you a better dad. And then if I'm a better dad, I'm a better a boss and employee and leader, and then I'm a better systems change agent. So it is a constant thing, and you don't know, you can't ever get it right. There's no blog you can read. Someone says, well, if you do 3 hours meditation, 2 hours, because it doesn't work that way. It's a dynamic system. It's constantly evolving, a complex system at the edge of chaos. We are always usually at the edge of chaos, which is beautiful because it's where creativity happens, but it's also where lack of safety happens and fear happens. And what we don't want to do is go, right, I'm just going to go and use self-care as a blissing out, technique of just my own joy. I'm going to sit in the hot tub and I'm going to spend 3 days on retreat. It's just all about me feeling good and posting on Instagram. That's not self-care.
Right.
Self-care as a leader is, what do I have to do as a minimal viable human product? MVH, a minimal viable human. What do I have to do for myself? Sleep, nutrition, exercise, meditation, relaxing time, Netflix, binging, whatever, so that I can show up for 8 hours a day, or 7 hours or 10 hours, as a whole human. I think that's a really important word, a whole being, a whole leader.
Yeah.